Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Tepiso, and I will be your moderator for the day. I am EIT's marketing assistant based in our South African office in Johannesburg, Midrand. We really do hope you'll enjoy this webinar. And to kick things off, let's take note of the notifications and sounds slide that is up on your screen. This is to make sure that you're able to minimize any notifications coming through. Kindly note you will be able to actually put them on once the presentation has concluded. You also have the option of posting any questions that you might have during this presentation in the Q&A function. You'll be able to see it on the top ribbon of the Microsoft Teams platform. You're able to put any questions you might have regarding the presentation. You can also put any questions you have regarding EIT, and I will make sure to answer any questions that come through and leave the ones that Gillian herself will be able to answer at the end of the presentation. Now, some common questions for us. Please note that you'll receive both a copy of the slides as well as the video recording. This will be sent to you within the next 2 business days by the marketing team. Please also make note to check your junk, spam, and promotional folders. The information might land there, if not in your normal inbox. And then a little bit more about EIT. If you're not familiar with us, we are an engineering specialist. We offer engineering courses from a professional certificate all the way to a Doctor of Engineering. We also offer industry-orientated programs, meaning that we actually take note of what is going on in the industry and actually make courses out of that. We are a world-class Australian accredited education provider, and we offer both vocational programs as well as higher educational programs. And some of our courses are actually internationally recognized, respectively, under the Dublin, Sydney, as well as the Washington Accord. And then we have industry experienced lecturers. So these are people who've actually worked in the field and are now translating the knowledge and skills that they have while working in the field into the programs that we teach at EIT. And then lastly, we offer a unique delivery model, meaning that regardless of where you are, as long as you have a stable internet connection and a device to study from, you'll be able to study with us. We also offer courses online and on campus. Our campuses are in Melbourne, Brisbane, as well as in Perth, and that is our head office. Now, today's topic is finding your path, choosing the right engineering discipline for your career. And you guys are very lucky. You have Gillian Formanton, who is going to be our speaker for today. And she is a recipient of many awards. And since we are in the month of March, International Women's Month, that is, you guys are in for a treat. Gillian, without further ado, this is your portion of the presentation. You can go ahead and take control of the slides as well as introduce yourself. Thank you so much. I will see you guys at the end of the presentation.
Thank you very much. Thank you for a very brilliant introduction. I really appreciate that. Hello, everybody. Can you confirm that you can hear me and see me? Can hear and see me? Very good. All right. Well, as a lovely introduction, I am a very, very proud Australian Engineer of the Year, which is something I absolutely don't take lightly. And it is one of my favourite things to do is to share about my career, and particularly with people that are right at the beginning and starting off their journey. So it's an absolute privilege to be with you today, tonight, wherever you are in the world. Now, I am a governance board member for EIT, which is something I'm also very, very proud of. This organisation really does reach people in the world who may not be able to study like a traditional, engineering qualification in a big city. So we can actually reach people wherever you are in the world, which I think is an incredible offering, but also a really valuable thing for people to do. Just a little interesting note, many years ago, I was a lecturer for one of the early iterations of EIT, and I used to lead a small course called gas pipeline design, which was very, I don't know, it was interesting, but it's nothing compared to what the organisation is producing now, which I think is really great. My day job is as head of engineering for Wood Australia West. So I am the head of a multidiscipline team of engineers, another role that I'm incredibly proud of. We have engineers from just about every discipline you can imagine. So while I am a chartered mechanical engineer myself, I'm accountable for the delivery of engineering across all sorts of different disciplines. So I feel very qualified to have this conversation with you. And I've had over 30 years experience now through a number of different, I call self-expressions of my career. I'm also an engineering executive, and so I've got a chartered, as well as being a chartered mechanical engineer, I'm chartered as an engineering leader, which I think is a very important distinction. And some of you will be engineering leaders and will be officially recognised as engineering leaders throughout your career. It's a very important part of our industry. And any of you that are kind of really feel like leadership will be the future you move into, I've fully request that you explore that because your voice is needed. And I'm married to my husband, Laurie, and I have four I call them step women. They're actually women in their 30s and 40s, and it's been a very important part of my life to partner those girls into the wonderful women they've become with my husband. And then also they have, between them, they have 5 children now, 5 sons. So I'm a grandmother. I like to think I don't look like a grandmother yet, but here we are. And my favourite thing in the planet is to work with people to fulfil on their potential. So when I was invited to talk to you today about this important topic, I was very, very happy to accept. So thank you very much for having me. I'm just getting my mouse sorted here. All right. So this is what we're covering today. I want to give you just, if those of you would have read the registration page, this is designed for people who are at the beginning of their career, maybe high school students or undergraduates, or people that are looking at pursuing a career in engineering, regardless of where you're at in your age and stage. Some of you may even go, you know what, I'm going to change tack after being in this conversation. This is designed for wherever you are in your journey. The intention is that it's going to provide some insight into the diverse fields within engineering, which is going to include all the basic kinds of engineering that you could think of. We only have kind of 45 minutes plus some questions though, so it will probably pique your curiosity, and I invite you to further explore the things that are of interest to you. Okay, there are a number of ways you can do that, which we will discuss towards the end. But this is to empower you to make some informed decisions about your academic and professional futures by helping you identify what your passions might be, the skills you already have, and the values that you hold within this exciting world of engineering. All right, so I'm committed that you come away with a clearer understanding of the different fields that make up engineering, a bit of self-reflection and self-discovery, and some practical guidance and resources. So that's what we're about. All righty. So first and foremost, congratulations. Like really, congratulations. If you are in part of the beginning of your career and you are choosing engineering as a pathway for you and your life, that is a magnificent decision and congratulations. It's also an opportunity to make a big difference in the world. You also have the opportunity to create a lifestyle that will put you amongst or above most people in the world when it comes to, the affordability of life. And it's an opportunity for you to fully express yourself in the world and fulfill your interests personally and your aspirations. Engineering is a wild adventure. It's an opportunity for really living a very full and self-expressed life. Now, it might seem like a very serious decision now about which pathway to follow. And look, I'm not going to take lightly where you're at in your journey, but many of you will make a number of changes with regards to your expression of your career And although I am a mechanical engineer and chartered as a mechanical engineer and engineering leader, I've had a number of different facets of my career, which is not necessarily disciplined anchored. Could say that I may have been able to follow some of those pathways regardless of which discipline I studied. So I really invite you not to worry about getting this wrong. I invite you to embark on your career in a way that allows you to fully express yourself and to continue living true to your values and in a way that really inspires you and the people around you. All right, so let's explore. So engineering is a vast and diverse field, and there are a number of different disciplines. So we're going to touch on a few first and going to get into it deeper, but let's look at some key areas. Oh, before I go further too, this is something that is quite unique to where I was when I was in your shoes, thinking about what I was going to do with my career. It was kind of like 1980 something, giving away my age. Now, the world of artificial intelligence was something that belonged in science fiction books and movies. You are in the middle of the beginning of artificial intelligence. And I want to mention that because a lot of the pictures I've used throughout this presentation have been generated by artificial intelligence. So I asked ChatGPT for this picture to draw a picture that took into account all the different elements of engineering. You can see we've got a bridge with a circuit board, we've got some renewable energy in the background, got some traditional energy there, we've got all sorts of different things going on in this picture. So for those of you that have been playing with AI, you might see some of the quirks in my pictures as we go forward. But let's have a look at some of the different areas, the key areas of engineering. Right, so civil engineering. Often a place where people think of engineering first. It's some of the things that are most obvious in the world. It's roads and bridges and buildings. And, you know, obviously a very important part of our lives that we live. Again, I'm going to move through these quite quickly. And again, you can note my little AI drawings. Mechanical engineering. I don't know if I like this, right? There's not much of my career that's had machines that kind of look like that. I don't know how useful that machine is with all those external gears or whatever's going on there. But mechanical engineering, focus on machine systems and thermal sciences. I'll talk a little bit more about the importance that mechanical engineering has in multidiscipline teams in a little later. Electrical engineering, electricity, electronics, electromagnetism. It's the foundation of, you know, the applied sciences with regards to electrical systems. Chemical engineering, transforming raw materials into valuable products through chemical processes. It's a very diverse range of different applications: mining, petroleum, renewables, materials, you name it. There will be chemical engineers involved. Computer engineering. I tell you, again, showing my age a bit, computer engineering was quite new when I did my degree. Computer engineers were those kind of other engineers we didn't quite understand. Mostly they came from different parts of the world. But now computer engineering is very different than what it once was, and it really does bridge the gap between hardware and software. This is what brings computing to life, the practical side of our computing industry. Aerospace engineering, hot topic at the moment. I think some of you might have been even made your choices to even be in this conversation based on what's happening in aerospace. It's a very exciting future, and who knows where that will take us. And then biomedical engineering, again, a little newer. There weren't too many people studying this when I was studying 35 years ago, but applying the engineering principles to healthcare. I mean, what an amazing future this discipline of engineering holds for humanity. And then environmental engineering, another very important part that may have brought some of you here. I've noticed that a lot of graduates of engineering these days, our values have shifted over time. Many people are interested in improving the livability of our world and addressing the environmental challenges and promoting sustainability in our projects and in our lives. So environmental engineering can be a pathway to that for you. And then software engineering. How do we develop, manipulate, design, create the software systems and solutions? It's across all different industries now, and is an important part of engineering. Materials engineering, it's the last one on my list. I'm sure we could have a number more. But the study of materials and the application of those materials to be dealing with solving the issues in the world is a really important part of engineering. In fact, in my company here, we're about to add the discipline of materials engineering to the wide range of engineering we offer. So it's it's a bit of a hot topic for me at the moment, where we're interested in expanding further into this space and making these solutions available to industry. All right, so that was a quick list, a very quick list of engineering disciplines. So let's get into a little bit more. And I'd like you to, this is an opportunity to have a little bit of a think and explore, okay? Because sometimes for some of you, it might be, I kind of have to do something. I'm interested in, well, making a living. I've got to choose something. Mum and dad are telling me I've got to choose something, and I don't want to get it wrong. And sometimes we think a lot about, well, what are the weaknesses we have, and then making up for those weaknesses. I invite you to look from the view of what interests you now. What are the things that are of interest to you? What drives you? Okay, so if you've got a pen and paper handy, you could make a few notes. If you've got, I don't know, a tablet and a pen, it's probably more appropriate these days. But if you want to make a few notes, or you just want to take your notes mentally, totally up to you. But I do want you to inquire. This is a personal conversation. And although you could have conversations with people to truly explore this, it is a private conversation for you. This is you, your life. If you do take on being an engineer, it really, and I was going to say you're going to have a career of perhaps 40 years, but it also really does become who you are. Okay, so these are the kind of the questions I want you to engage in here. So what subjects did you enjoy most at school? Is it physics, maths, chemistry, biology, computer science? Now, although I would guard people against, if, you know, like some people say, if you're not good at physics or if you're not good at maths, then engineering is not for you. I would guard you against cutting off your option as an engineer because of those two things. One, we need in engineering way, way beyond the expert mathematicians and the expert physicists and chemists. Engineering is a wide, wide domain of leadership, communication, storytelling, creating narratives that power teams and communities of people. And I believe wholeheartedly that there are some people in the world right now that should have been engineers but didn't pursue that because they had an opinion about them not being very good at maths. If maths or physics is your barrier, please don't let it be. Okay, there are ways of dealing with that, and I know many, many fine engineers who that wasn't their thing, and they've got magnificent careers. What hobbies or projects do you pursue in your free time? Do you enjoy building things? Maybe you enjoy solving puzzles or working with technology. For me, I think as I was sort of in your shoes and looking, I certainly was someone who enjoyed puzzles. I really enjoyed working things out. What you would have seen me doing on the weekend might have been like, I was a bit of, I don't know if this is even a term used these days. I was a bit of what would be described as a tomboy. I enjoyed doing things that were quite physical, building things. I volunteered in the community on the state emergency service, and I was interested in being trained in emergency management and things like that. I also was quite creative, because sometimes what that might look like is, it mightn't mean you're going to, I don't know, build a shed in the back garden, but it might mean you want to be quite creative. You might want to build intricate models. You might want to, like make them attractive and usable by people. You might also enjoy working with technology. There's a lot of technology available at the moment, like from where I was at the time. like computers in house. Oh gosh, I sound so old. Computers in households were a new thing. And part of my interest in technology was something that guided me towards engineering. I think most people, like if you're like my grandchildren are completely, they're complete computer users now, and they're all under 10. Well, the younger ones are under 10. So, but what's your interest in technology? Are you interested in creating things with it? Are you interested in more than using it, but using it as an access to creativity and even design? Is there a particular industry that fascinates you, or a technology that fascinates you? For example, if you're driving along the road and you're, out in the countryside, are you finding yourself naturally drawn to wondering about, well, I wonder what it took to design this bridge? How is this road made up? Like, what is it that has this road perform the way it does? What went into the materials and what processes and people were needed to design it and build it? If you're finding yourself naturally fascinated about how things work, then it'd be interesting for you to explore that. Is it space exploration? Is this something that you're on YouTube and you're always looking at all the different space exploration videos? Maybe it's renewable energy that's taken your attention. Maybe it's robotics. Maybe it's medical devices. What interests you that you get a thrill out of, that you're interested in pursuing and maybe even offering to others as solutions and making a career out of? Do you enjoy working with your hands, working with computers, or working with abstract concepts? Again, like through all the different parts of a career, like for instance, early in my career, I was actually learning how to weld, and I was learning how to actually physically install gas systems and working with others and in trades to understand how well that worked. I really enjoyed it, but I also knew that wasn't what my whole career was going to be about. So you may find that you are interested in building and working with computers or your hands, but is it more for the future of what you could do to expand and making that available to others? Or is it just that you want to be working with your hands yourself? Like it can be a bit of a guide for you about what kind of thing would you like your career to provide? Okay, so what drives you? What interests you and passion? What are your passions? Now, for some of you, you might be, well, look, that's all good, but I'm not quite sure. Like, because I mean, if we're talking about a hobby, you don't always want to make a hobby into a career. So let's dive a little bit deeper and have a look and to see, well, what kind of thing could fit your style? So your personality and your work style can play a significant role in your career satisfaction. Again, I guide you to feel that you might be stuck with anything. Engineering really is I don't know if you remember those books, the Create Your Own Venture, where you could choose different scenarios as you went along. You really do have that opportunity with an engineering career. And your personality might give you, a way to look at something and to see if your interest is going to take you into this career. Like, for instance, are you a problem solver or a creator or a communicator? All right. So when you're with groups of people, maybe your friends or your family, or in work groups, if you've been at work, are you someone who's looking for, how do we fix this problem? Do you find yourself assessing the resources available for something? Do you find that your mind moves towards creating or understanding what's needed so that you can move towards a solution? Are you a communicator? Are you someone who brings the understanding things for others so that they can also participate in problem solving and moving towards results that can make a difference? Okay, you may find yourself in that kind of picture. Also, do you prefer working independently or in a team? Now, I do call engineering, anyone that knows me at all would have heard me say, engineering is the ultimate team sport. It's an extreme sport and it's a team sport. However, in the whole wide world of engineering, there is also many people, and it's important that many people are also preferring to work independently. So it's not for one or the other. There are many people who work as engineers and they work independently. or they work as a wider team. My recommendation is that you are able to work independently, but also able to work as a team. Okay, so because there will always be some things that you need to do and manage on your own, but being able to contribute that as part of a wider group is also really important in most engineering work. This is something you can learn and develop as you grow and as you build confidence, but it is an interesting way to look at the landscape available for you as you're making these decisions. What's your orientation to detail, or do you prefer a big picture? Again, something that can change, like to be in an engineering qualification and in this stage of learning, it definitely does help for you to be detail oriented. I can, just saying this now, I remember when I was studying my degree and in my early years, I certainly had to manage my mind and make sure that my mind was on the sufficient detail so that I could produce the results and learn the important parts of my learning so that I could fulfill on assignments and pass exams. I definitely prefer more of the bigger picture though. As I've evolved in my career, I've noticed that I'm less and less interested in the detail. However, it's incredibly important that there are people in my team that are incredibly detail oriented. Okay, often the role of an engineer is to manage risks that are invisible to the normal person. Okay, so it does take some very detail oriented mindsets to be able to manage all the different facets of engineering. So if you are detail oriented and you are and you have the kind of interest and patience that is curious about the details, oh my goodness, there's many engineering seats for you. However, if that's not your bag and you're more interested in the bigger picture, you will have a pathway through detail that you will need to walk while you're fulfilling on your qualifications and maybe in your early years. But there is a wide open field for big picture thinking engineers, and the world is very much in need of people who are the big picture thinkers, who are qualified and trained as responsible engineers. So room for all in that regard. Are you comfortable with ambiguity, or do you prefer structured environments? Again, most engineering, like for instance, the engineering workplace that I am in here, I'm sitting in my office now, and around me, just on the few floors that we fill here, there's about 400 engineers that are working within our company here. Most of those engineers are engaged in a structured environment where they're moving together towards particular design outcomes. However, there's changes that happen all the time. So being able to be comfortable with ambiguity is an important part. However, you can also set up your team so that you can rely on some people to be more comfortable with ambiguity. It's an important part of my role as the leader of many of the engineers in our workplace here. But we're, a structured environment is something that is often a safer place for people to be able to do that detailed thinking and design. And another question, do you prefer a job with a set routine or one that's constantly changing? Again, for engineers, both are available for you. I've certainly had both in my career. In my early years as an engineer, I worked for a gas operations company, and our job was to run a gas terminal and distribute gas to the city and surrounds in which I lived. So I was in Hobart, Tasmania, which is, for those of you out of Australia, that's that island at the bottom of Australia. And I had a very set routine. So, one very important job was safety and making sure that the gas stayed in the pipes and the tanks. It's a very, very important part of anyone that works in the gas industry. It's also to run and maintain schedules of deliveries to make sure that gas consumers didn't run out of gas. Okay, and very, very important to have a set routine. And changes to that were also managed because we want to, if we want to expand business, we need to do it and make sure it was inside of our ability to supply. all of that kind of thing. And then other roles that I've had have been very creative. I've worked as an engineering consultant on a major capital projects, mostly in Western Australia, but also in Doha in the Middle East. And although my job may have, to the outside observer might have looked like, I got up every morning and I, had breakfast and then I went to work and I talked to a computer and talked to people, and it might have looked fairly routine. However, constantly changing. It was all about people and resources and helping create and lead the optimal environment for those projects to be created safely was my main role, safety and keeping the environment safe. So very, very creative, always reaching out for different information and working with people to bring forth the best performance in projects. So again, both are available. Now, for some of you, and maybe not all, and this is something that can definitely change over time, engineering can be about making a difference. Okay, and now I work with many engineers whose whole thing about life is that they want to make the biggest difference they can with their life, and I'm definitely, I put myself in that category. Others are more interested in just doing their job and, making sure they can afford what they want for their life and perhaps their families. But I invite you to have a look at the opportunity that being an engineer is to the impact that you could have on the world. Do you want to contribute to sustainable solutions? If that's the case, I would say probably all types of engineering at the moment, but environmental, civil and chemical are often seen as the engineering disciplines to pursue if what you're most interested in is sustainable solutions for the world. Perhaps you want to make breakthroughs in and more than improve, but new technologies and breaking into new horizons for healthcare. Biomedical engineering or materials engineering could be your pathway to that important way of making a difference in the world. Perhaps you want to advance technology. Maybe your thing is about the whole world of artificial intelligence, breaking through the frontiers that have been previously unavailable for humanity, and inventing and creating whole new paradigms for living and working in the world. Electrical, computer or software engineering might be your best access to being able to work in that exciting field. Maybe it's the next generation of transportation. We're seeing a lot at the moment with regards to what's happening in space exploration, but also where we're going in the world of autonomous vehicles and our ability to move around the world and outside of our own planet. The first access into that may be as an aerospace or a mechanical engineer. Now, this is a good example of saying, well, if that is the future that you want, and you've chosen to be an electrical engineer, like electrical engineering can definitely take you into that world. That part of industry utilises a lot of people with that skill set. So again, aerospace and mechanical might be the most logical choice if you've not chosen yet. But if you're already in an electrical engineering degree and this is what you want, you can definitely get there from that role as well. And perhaps you want to build the infrastructure of the future. Civil engineering would be the most logical choice. If you're like the best bridges, like the best buildings, the best water management, the way of dealing with some of the world's most precious resources, including mining and minerals, then civil engineering might be the best base degree for you. Okay, so many, many different options. And then your location, all right? Like where do you work? Where do you want to work? Now, engineering is one of the best choices you can make if you want to live where you choose. Okay, I think engineering sometimes has got a little bit of a bad reputation. I think with some groups of people where you're stuck working on a mine site or working in places where people don't necessarily want to live. I have always felt like I've had a great choice about where I live. I've lived in country places. I've certainly flown in and out of project and mine and facility situations. But mostly I've lived and worked in cities, which suits me and my lifestyle and my family. But really, your career aspirations can definitely influence where you live. Like if you prefer urban settings or you prefer rural settings, you can definitely have a wild career as an engineer. Again, if you really want to work in a rural setting and but your interest is in building city infrastructure, it might constrain you a little. Although in the world of being able to work anywhere from anywhere on anything, we can definitely connect through, we're talking to people all around the place on this platform. I do invite you though, that you will probably want to connect personally with what you're doing. So if you're in city infrastructure and that's your thing, then you're probably going to want to live and work in a city, at least for part of your career, but it's definitely a good thing to be considering as you're choosing your options. Are you open to international opportunities? I've certainly worked in different parts of the world. I've only taken one main international assignment. I've taken a few other small ones. Some people will have big chapters of their career in different countries. It's a hugely inspiring and personally growing opportunity to work with different people in different cultures on different kinds of projects. I don't think there are any engineering careers that would limit this, but if it's something you want sooner rather than later, you might want to choose an engineering discipline that you can see immediate access to moving internationally. Like, for instance, a lot of people contact me online and they're interested in moving to Australia. We've got a big shortage at the moment of people, mechanical engineers that are proficient in designing and maintaining piping systems. We have a lot, particularly in my part of the world, in Western Australia, a lot of facilities made of pipes. And if you want to be important part of our world at the moment, which is about transitioning responsibly our energy and our use of energy, then people who are proficient in mechanical piping systems, electrical systems for that important infrastructure, there are international opportunities for you in a place like Western Australia. Maybe you want to work in a specific industry hub. Maybe like here we have, I thought of what's the closest industrial area where I'm living. We call it the Kwinana Strip, like it is literally urban almost. It's like half an hour south of the middle of the city that I'm in, which is Perth in Western Australia. But it's what I started when I moved to Western Australia nearly 30 years ago, running a gas depot. It's an industrial area. Okay, so somewhere like that, maybe your kind of Silicon Valley, like that kind of American opportunity of working with some of the smartest and brightest people who are on the forefront of our technological advances, maybe some of the aerospace clusters, places like that, or another Western Australia one, the Pilbara. It's where there's a lot of mining and oil and gas and exploration going on out there. It's the outback, for those of you who are not familiar with Australia. But it's a 2-hour flight from the middle of one of the best cities in the world, which is where I live. And does the idea of working outdoors appeal to you? Okay, now, again, I think you can have outdoors anywhere, but, a computer engineer, someone designing computer systems, it's kind of not an outdoor career. However, a civil engineer or an environmental engineer could spend a significant part of their time in the outdoors and working with issues of building and construction or working with the environment. Civil engineering, I haven't got on here specifically mining engineering, but civil engineering can be a good pathway into being a mining engineer, and you can also study mining engineering as a separate entity. Big outdoor opportunities with regards to those disciplines. And then in an office setting, to software, computer. Most of my career, though, was a mechanical engineer and engineering leader. Mostly my work has been in an office setting or maybe visiting sites, but then also in offices within those sites. Again, totally up to you. It is a make your own adventure, but if you really like working in an office and you like that clean environment, then software and computing might be might be your thing. Alrighty-o. I'm going to move through these quite quickly because I do want to give you the opportunity to be able to ask some questions. I've put together here kind of a little bit of a card, and these are available to you. This is going to be sent to you so you can see what there is. And again, this is a bit of a again, it's not limiting. You might go, hey, but what about? And we can answer those questions, but it'll give you a bit of an idea, like what are the interests and personality and skill sets that might suit each of the disciplines. All right, so let's look at these quickly. So what I'm saying here, civil engineering, designing and constructing infrastructure, problem solving and project management would be the kind of things that you would be doing in your day-to-day. And you would be a practical, organised, detail-orientated and collaborative person. People who work on civil projects are often in big teams, and you need to be able to collaborate and understand ideas together. The kind of impact you'd be making would be building sustainable cities, maybe improving transportation, ensuring access to clean water, real human pieces like that. There are global opportunities, everything from the furthest remote to the busiest city centre. Project management, design, construction oversight, site visits is what your work would look like. And then I would recommend fairly strong foundation in physics and maths. Again, don't let that vote you out. There are ways of making sure you can get through that without being a natural genius, which I certainly was not. I needed to work pretty hard on the maths, and that could be for you as well. And then you'll study structural analysis, fluid mechanics, and geotechnical engineering. Okay, mechanical engineering, my favourite, because that's what I did. And people often ask me, why did I choose mechanical engineering? I chose it because I felt that it gave me the biggest set of options and kept my options open. Okay, it was probably the hardest one to study at university because you need to be able to cover all those different edges. There was heat management, vibration management, as well as structural, electrical, mechanical systems, drawing, robotics. It had the whole lot in there. Okay, so you can see there I've got listed the different things. I would suggest you would need to, be able to at least beginning to get your head around the physics and maths, but you really will be studying the physical world and how to manipulate that to do great things for design and for humanity. So fine. In fact, I would say, and this might be a little bit bold, but if you really can't decide, do mechanical engineering because it really is a pathway for almost anything. There might be some others that would disagree with that, but that's what I'll often recommend to people. Electrical engineering, definitely a good detailed orientation, an analytical kind of personality would be useful. Again, doesn't have to be, but that might give you some direction. You can work anywhere in the world. You impact any kind of industry as an electrical engineer. If your renewable energy is your thing and that's what you want to work towards and you love the maths and physics, then electrical engineering could be for you. Okay. Computer engineering. We've been at the beginning of what's possible through computing for a very long time. It keeps getting bigger and bigger. So I'm not going to pretend that I'm an expert in computer engineering at all. I know how to use computers for what I need, but you really would be at the forefront of what's needed in terms of hardware, software, and really the exploration into what's possible in artificial intelligence. So if that's a world that fascinates you, and particularly if you're interested more in working in cities with groups of people, that might be the best way for you to move forward. You'll be designing and developing computer hardware and software, and then, of course, testing and debugging systems to make sure that they're usable and work for people. Maths, computer science, electrical engineering, kind of that digital logic would be the kind of mindset you would need because that's the pathway you'd be following. Chemical engineering, here's the card for that. Manipulating the world of chemical reactions and process design to, create different things out of some of the raw materials in the world. This is the resources industry. It's also the renewables industry. It's the materials industry, and with regards to like chemical manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, perhaps energy and environmental agencies all employ chemical engineers. Environmental, sustainability, pollution control, water resources, waste management, renewable energy. Such important issues. I thought about putting a lovely environmental picture here rather than a big plant. The reality is somewhere where environmental engineers are needed most is through the responsible management of existing industries and emerging industries. And it's a big opportunity to make a big difference. The environmental engineers that I work with, they advise some of the biggest oil and gas companies in the world with how to be responsible with the environment and how to monitor and measure the impact that they could or do make and be responsible for that. Science and maths is a strong course. Chemistry, studies in water resources and waste management. It's another one of the careers that could take you into many outdoor settings if that's your thing. And I think, getting close towards the end of my talking, and then we'll have some questions. There are many engineering challenges required collaboration across disciplines. And I think the skill that I've developed that's most important is the ability to bring all the different thinkings together to find the right solutions. So you might find yourself working on projects that blend elements of multiple fields. You also may find that you start as a mechanical engineer, but you develop a really, a real important interest with regards to some environmental elements that you want to study further. Or you might want to apply your base degree through masters or other ways of developing yourself in particular industries. It is all available for you. And in some way, like I said right at the beginning, somewhat it doesn't really matter where you start. But if you're clear, like for me, I was clear that I wasn't quite sure, but I was quite clear that a computer science and computer engineering were not for me. I didn't have the detail orientation for it and all the interest for it. But a good start in one of the directions that most resonates with you might be the way that you want to start. Now, some of the ways to get, like we say, like getting your compass with regards to which direction you want to go, it might be to practice. When you, this is an analogy I like to think, if you might be looking for a new outfit, you'll go to the shop and you might try on a jacket, and you might even look at yourself in the mirror and see if it works, or you might try on a pair of shoes and see if they fit. I invite you to try on and explore your options to gain practical experience, but also to give yourself a bit of a sense of what is going to suit you and your self-expression and the way you want to begin your working career. So seek out internships and co-op opportunities. Many companies are engaging with paid internships. We have a number of people that come through as students each year. But you can do work experience and get to know some people that might give you an idea about what might suit you. Engineering competitions and projects are a really, really good idea. I'm working with some young people at some local universities here at the moment. We've provided some mentors, and they're participating in projects to give them an idea about, well, how do they work together, but also what's the kind of engineering they want to pursue and the way they want to live their life. Student organisations and clubs are good. You can start exploring things. It's also an access to some engineering competitions and projects, but also like-minded people that coming together to understand and inquire about what this career could make available for you. And then professionals in the field. I think it's a really good idea to connect with people. When I was growing up, I didn't have any engineers close to me. So I did get good at talking to people and finding out about, well, what might this be like? You know, maybe you know people who are in your family that are engineers. Maybe you know people, some of your friends may have relatives. It's amazing how much you can get out of saying to someone, hey, can I buy you a cup of coffee or an orange juice or, I don't know, a glass of water and talk to you about engineering and pick your mind. I don't think there'd be anyone who wouldn't enjoy the opportunity of contributing their experience. You know, they might be a little shy, you know, so you might need to be, you know, maybe a little insistent and say, look, I promise you it won't hurt. I just want to talk to you and find a bit about who you are, what you do, and get a bit of guidance for myself. I've had dozens and dozens of those conversations, and I've had many with others that have asked that of me. And every time I have a conversation with someone, I learn more about myself and I learn more about them and what's possible in the world. So there was a stage where I was developing my career quite quickly, and I took on having 3 of those kind of conversations every week. And it was so, so good. It was sometimes a bit scary because I was like, oh my gosh, I've only got 2. I need 1 more for the week. And I'd have to go beyond where I was normally comfortable. But I learned so much. So I really invite anyone who's really keen about exploring this to take on a bit of a game like that and meet people and ask people to contribute to you. And therefore, you'll also contribute to others. All right. So that was a lot. Thank you. I think we are going to have some questions in a bit. Toshiba, is there another piece you wanted to say here about Open Week?
Definitely. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will have our virtual Open Week taking place from Monday, the 7th of April to Friday, the 11th of April. So, basically, the virtual Open Week is basically what we have an open day. However, because we service over 160 countries worldwide, we can't actually have it in every country that we have. So, we take it online, and this is where you'll be able to find out from our instructors as well as our alumni, as well as our student ambassadors, exactly what we do at the Engineering Institute of Technology. Get to see our remote labs as well as simulation software, and hear from our deans, deputy deans, and as well as some of our board members. So you guys are more than welcome to register for the virtual Open Week. So I'll be sure to leave links to the information. You guys can go ahead on the EIT website and register for that. Furthermore, you can also get the links to speak to a course advisor in case you're interested in starting your engineering career, and we'll be able to assist you with that. Gillian, I do believe that you have a question. There is a question there. It's quite a long one. It might take you a while, but it is a really good question. I also want to find out from you there. It's under the chat box, and it is right on top. I do believe there's also someone who put their hand up. Please note, if you have any questions, kindly leave them in either the chat box or the Q&A function. I will be sure to answer them or have Gillian answer the questions for you. I will also leave all the relevant links, including the links to our future webinars, virtual Open Week, as well as a link to book a call with our course advisors in the chat box for you guys.
All right. I think I found the question that you're referring to, and it's a very good one. Thank you very much for your question. Is it Kaisa Ilhan? I think I'm getting that right. So thank you for your question.
Yes.
It's often a question with regards to how important is that deep technical expertise when advancing into a leadership role. Now, it's a tricky one, right? Because it's a real opportunity for self-expression. Now, for myself and my career, I would definitely not call myself deeply technical. Most definitely not. I often look at it from the view of what parts of my mind and my expression have I invested in the most. Okay, now if you do have a curiosity for deep technical experience and advancing into leadership, I recommend that you make sure that you do some specific training and development with how to communicate your thoughts and ideas. So leadership is about communication, and we are very much in need of technical people who understand the intricacies of design and the impacts and the consequences of design, to be able to communicate that in ways that helps decision makers make the best decisions for projects and people. Okay, so if you want to advance a career that takes you beyond the basics of engineering, you will be needing to develop those communication and leadership skills. And the best way to do that is with practice. Make promises. This is what I recommend. Make promises you don't know how to keep, and then find people who can work with you to fulfill that and learn how to communicate. Or you might be like I've got a great engineering leadership career. And it's been about leading big teams of people. I definitely have a sufficient understanding to be able to ask the right questions, to be able to inquire into about what are the risks. I call it like looking into the dark corners with people to understand the consequences of our decision making, but also able to make strong recommendations to people further up in management to be able to direct us in the right direction. I think regardless of the depth of your technical skills, to be in leadership and be able to lead and develop others, you do have to be able to relax somewhat on your righteousness about your own solutions and be able to really inquire with others so people feel included as well. Doesn't mean letting go of your values by any means, but I think one of the biggest strengths that I've got is being able to be more interested in the solutions of others than the ones that my brain comes up with. All right, so I hope I've made that a little clearer for you, and it is something that'll be very personal, but a deep technical love of engineering is an important thing for leaders. But if it's not your bag and not what's most passionate about your expression, you can be an extraordinary leader and make the ideas of others be more important than your own. So I hope that gives some insight into your question. The other part you've got there, how do you know if you're on the right path? I don't know. Do you really? I think it's important with any engineering or any career to set measures and be always inquiring about, well, am I producing the results that I want to produce? And if you are, then make sure that you're at the source of that so you continue improving. And if you're not, reach out for help, reach out for coaching, get training and development, and share with others so that you can. My guide for myself is if I'm connected to others and I'm moving towards shared goals in a way that people are experiencing themselves as part of a solution with things that they're proud of, then you're probably on the right path. Okay. Are there any other questions?
As much as unconventional and conventional as this is going to be, I have a question, Julian. What's your take on micro-credentials in terms of career progression? What do you think about them, and how should we use them in order to advance our careers?
That's a very, very good question. I will call myself a lifelong learner. One of the things that when you may find many engineers are interested in and curious about the world and also developing their ability to produce results in different areas, micro-credentialing can be a really great way of not only validating for yourself that you're learning those skills, but also sharing with others in an organised way about how you have developed yourself and the skill sets that you have in your offerings to potential employers or potential projects within your organisation. So I think it's a very, very powerful way of creating a narrative about your career and giving you the reputation and identity that you want to be able to produce pathways into making a bigger difference with your career.
Thank you so much. I don't believe we have any other questions. However, because the chat box is always going to be open regardless of whether we actually stop the presentation or not, should there be any questions, I'll make sure to send them your way. You actually do have one last question. There it is from Hasna, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, you do have a question from Hasna.
It's very good. Oh, thank you. You thought it amazing. I really appreciate the opportunity of talking to you all today. The career prospects for a mechanical engineer, again, I would say my favourite because that's what I chose. Many different career prospects, and it does somewhat depend on the industries that are available wherever you're living or studying. But, I worked with gas systems and pipelines early in my career, city gas distribution, but you could work in robotics, automotive. Mechanical engineers in our industry work very much on the machines and production facilities for some of the biggest infrastructure in the world. Mechanical engineering is definitely the pathway, I think, to many multidisciplinary teams. I find that many engineering managers, the people that work in engineering management, often started as mechanical engineers. Doesn't mean that other disciplines can't go that way. We have instrument and control engineers and process engineers and civil engineers that are engineering managers in our industry here. But mechanical engineering often gives you the set of experience and mindset that allows you to bring all the disciplines together. So engineering management, if that was part of my thinking, if I wanted to be able to manage big projects and get bigger and bigger, mechanical engineering can be a very powerful pathway towards that and build understanding across many of the different disciplines.
Then you also have two questions under the Q&A section. One is regarding a bachelor's in mechatronics engineering, and another one is regarding a robotics program. I do believe this one is for me. However, you can answer the first one. Thank you.
Very good. Bachelor of Technology in Mechatronics Engineering. It's very cool. At my engineering university, I went to the University of Tasmania a long time ago. We called it Mechalec. I think mechatronics is a much better name. It's often a blend of mechanical and electrical engineering and provides insights into practical application in electrical and mechanical and electromechanical systems. It's a broad-based understanding. I think it could be a very good foundation again for multidiscipline projects. And in fact, I think at our engineering, I think there were 4 times the number of mechanical what we called Mechalec engineers as there were straight mechanical. So I think it's a fine choice, particularly if you want to keep your options open and you want to move into industry, looking at different ways of working together. You could be looking at factory solutions. You could be in multi-industry solutions. You could also go into the automotive industry. Many different pathways available for you. And in my organisation, with regards to robotics, it's not the kind of work that I'm doing in the operations division of the wood company. In our consulting arms, though, I'm sure we would be doing some work with robotics. We would be employing engineers somewhere in the world in robotics programs. But there are many fine organisations that would be employing robotics engineers, and you might start with a mechanical degree and move further into that field, once you've entered industry.
I do believe we don't have any more questions, Gillian. However, thank you so much for your presentation. Okay, there's just one that's come in. I'm not sure if it's a question or compliment rather. Yes, it is a compliment. I do believe. Yes, there you are. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. Thank you so much, Gillian. It was an absolute pleasure. Hopefully, you will host another webinar for us to share all the amazing knowledge that you have in the engineering field. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. I would like to say once more, we will send you both the copy of the recording and the PDF slides to your mailboxes before close of business tomorrow. Thank you for attending, anyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. It is goodbye from me.
Thank you, and goodbye from me as well.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.